What happens when water is exposed to EMF, or wireless radiation? Here's something you may not know. Water is conscious, and it responds vibrationally to whatever it is exposed to. At Omnia, we've done an experiment where we froze and photographed 3 samples of water. Water which was not exposed to EMF radiation, the baseline, looked like this. Water which was exposed to an EMF field, a 5G radiation field in fact, looked like this. And water which was exposed to EMF that is balanced by the Omnia radiation balancer looked like this. See the difference? Remember, your body is 70% water. And here's a special offer for the Journey to Truth crowd. Just enter the word truth in caps at the checkout for your 10% discount.
One thing that I wanted to go into is that the label and these words mean nothing. So these have been used to term and dictate a certain compartmentalization of which they want to keep us divided into, aka Gaia TV. They want people to be entwined and interlaced with just one program. Yet here's the thing. The programs, including SSP, Monarch, Blue Book, the multitude, correct? It is actually, they're all intertwined. Time travel, all of this. So there's an umbrella term somewhere out there, right? And it's just called programming, right? The program operations, the secret ops, right? So we use the word SSP in soft disclosure because they don't want the truth actually getting out there. All right. They want to compartmentalize it in like a slow drip, Chinese water torture, right? Like it's super easy to just, keep them wanting more, or like it tortures them because they have just this tiny piece when there's actually a plethora. So I could sit here and tell you, oh yeah, I was in the SSP. But do you know what the SSP entailed? And then there are other terminologies they're coming out with. But this is only something of a human construct that our brains can fathom right now, because we can't, it's hard for us at the capacity we are right now when it comes into the fact that we've just come into quantum computing via quantum entanglement theories and realizing that quantum mechanics has limited us so much so in how we travel through our consciousness. So as I said, I will preface this by saying that everything we've said we've heard up until this point is incredibly limiting to our consciousness, even the disclosure that is now widespread. And they want to keep it that way in order to keep our brains and our consciousness as small as possible. So, for example, as I referred to earlier, SSP quote, for me, that means time travel. That means Project Pegasus. That means, I experienced the level of so much programming. And I remember it from before I was born. And that's called the Matrix. All right. It's called the Matrix because we ultimately get to decide. Yet that doesn't negate the fact that in a certain reality, we are taken before we even arrive. We are contracted before we even arrive. We volunteered to do this. We volunteered to come to Earth, a school of energy, a school of learning, in order to break through the matrix. I would say the matrix is honestly that umbrella term, because you can do anything through that matrix. It's a grid system.
I'm probably going to include that in the
Perfect.
episode.
That's fine. Yeah.
But I'm going to do a brief little intro properly, and then we'll just dive right back in.
Go for it.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Quick reminder, if you want to come hang out with us at our conference this year in Grafton, Illinois, May 22nd through the 25th, tickets are available at journeytotruthcon.com. On-site lodging is sold out, but there's plenty of camping on site and nearby hotels and Airbnbs. You can join the Telegram group on the website if you want to find somebody to room with, or if anybody wants to ride together. You can utilize that for that. Live stream tickets are available for $99 if you can't make it in person, so take advantage of that. Tonight, we are joined by Lindsay Hooper, who, as you've heard by now, she's an experiencer of these programs. She has some incredible information to share. She hasn't spoken publicly in quite a while, so we're really excited to get to know her and hear what she has to say. Welcome to the show, Lindsay.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah. Nice to be here. I appreciate it, the opportunity.
Yeah, and we appreciate you coming forward to share.
So, after being in hiding for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of just gave us a brief, idea of what's going on here, but maybe you could just start at the beginning and let us know like how you got into this and your understanding of these programs and the multiple realities that we're living in all at once simultaneously. I feel like that's what's happening here because there's so many different versions of ourselves and they're all playing out simultaneously.
Exactly. So basically in the 2022 Nobel Peace Prize, when they were proving quantum entanglement, they were proving quantum teleportation, which is essential to quantum communication and quantum computing on the next level. And it wasn't a factor previously because computers and computing and communication weren't a thing. Everyone was told to be quiet, separate, divide, stay in your houses, stay at home, don't talk to one another, things like this, like so many levels of mass mind control.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And then that's exactly, this goes back to birth. They've been, essentially is experimenting with our DNA, cloning us, using us in these programs. And maybe you could like break down that process and how we're being used from right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. Right out of the gate when you are born, okay, not only do they take your mother's placenta, which has trillions of stem cells, okay, they also give you what's called a PICU test, which is a heel prick. And they tell you that what the PICU test is, they say that this is to make sure that there are no allergies, no, birth defect, what have you. Now, as soon as they take the PICU test, that is sent off to these labs. They have you marked and stamped along with the birth certificate they create, along with the social security number, which is your straw man, which is now used, and it's going away now because their contract is ending, yet has been used for a very long time to trade you in stocks and bonds. Your social security number is an actual bond, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is and it's traded on the stock market under Cloak and Dagger. I can provide a link to show you. If you go to a website and you type in your social, it shows you all the companies that are trading you. I've done it, and it is very legit. And you can actually win cases against these companies if you so actually try. Yeah, I try not. I don't give that my attention much so because I know that when you feed something, you give it more energy. Correct?
Yes.
So, therefore, when we're going into the mother's placenta, the mitochondria and the stem cells, that's what holds the key to all information. And this also is relative to quantum entanglement. Because when we look into quantum entanglement, that is an exact representation of consciousness. Therefore, if we are intertwined, if one can turn into three and two can turn into five, right? We are all connected. Not only all life on Earth, not just humans. We're talking the Earth, the plants, the birds, the nature, the wildlife. We're actually talking about universal and cosmic life forms, right? So that way, in the cloning essence, right, they're able to tap into the cosmos and other ETs in which our DNA is from, because we all know that we weren't actually, actually human. We know that we have other DNA. We didn't just turn human here on Earth. We are human. That's the label they put on it. And that's when we get in the context of words and the labels, because words are simply labels.
You mean we didn't just evolve from apes randomly?
I'm gonna
Like they
say
tell
it's
us?
gonna be a hard note for me on that.
It's a hard no. Yeah.
Hard no. Yeah, definitely.
Right. So what did this look like for you as far as, I mean, how far back do your memories go? How were you involved in this? And just all of that story.
My memories go back from my deciding to come here. I knew there would be a level of I knew that I could see before I came here the grid lines of the matrix system. I knew what I was signing up for. We all do, but it's a matter if you remember it or not. Now, when you realize that the past, present, and future all happen at the same time, you are right now. So there's no more deja vu anymore, right? It's a simple like, oh yeah, this has happened. Like, oh, this is like familiar now, right? That's because you're already in the future, where our consciousness is so much higher, our avatar, aka our higher self, that we are actually able to experience the past, the present, and the future all at once, and have all of the memories all at one time. You just have to choose which simulation, which program you want to exist within, because there are infinite programs that we can exist within, because we all been involved in all, basically. Infinite realities, quantum entanglement, which was just proves the theory of infinite realities. So therefore, it's kind of like years back when scientists did this experiment, and they said that there is no way that the brain can remember a face that it's never seen before. So when you have a dream or a vision of someone and you're like, oh, I've never met them in person. Well, science proves otherwise. The facts state otherwise, that you actually have met them. You have had an experience with them. You might think it's a dream, but wait, you didn't imagine it, because you can't imagine something that never occurred. It's virtually, it's impossible. And as I said, you go back to looking at, and you come forward into seeing and then knowing that everything exists in the now, which taps you into all the memories. Yet you choose which program and simulation in which you wish to live, because we all get what we want, right? No matter the outcome, whatever we want, we will receive. So if we are upset, what are we going to receive back? It's just an exchange of energy,
Right?
A simple exchange of energy.
So like the law
Now,
of attraction, is that kind of what you're talking about?
It is a bit of that. Yet the way they taught it was very sinister.
Oh, of course.
They did not teach it they did not teach that in the correct way. They taught it as a method of almost religion and prayer, right? Like if you just think about it, and you'll see,
and to gain
like
material things, almost, it's very like matrixy, like, oh, you can be super rich and have an amazing house and car, and like that's all that matters.
Exactly. And in order to break free from the matrix is to break free from the program and create your own.
Yes,
that's what it is. Creating your own holographic structure, creating your own holographic universe, going within.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. And it's like that, it's like that inverted reality too. Like you said, it's all materialism, but it's also based on like, you succeed by doing bad, also by like focusing on the materialism and like trying to do better and like outdo your fellow human. Like
it's very
competition.
It's very ego based. Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
That's right, guys.
Or
And that's why
screw over.
Right.
Right.
And that's like, for example, with shadow work, and when you come into remembering all these programs, because so many people out there remember being in quote SSP. And as I said, SSP is just a term. People remember being there with Cleopatra. People remember being there with, they're like, oh, I must be a time traveler. I must be this. All of us are time travelers. All of us are able to quantum teleport. They just proved it this year, guys. I'm not stating, this isn't like a fictional fantasy. This isn't something I dreamed up. This is now being proven. Science is continually, science or whatever you want to label it as, proving the level of consciousness that we have. These are just vessels. Our brain is just, this is a vessel. We have an avatar. We have a higher self that is connected to everything we need to be connected to. That is the true law of attraction, is when you figure out and when you come into alignment with the avatar, because avatar is actually an ancient term for the higher self. It's separate, right? It's something you create to get to the higher self. Do you see? Many versions of you that are your higher self.
Right.
And that's as you were talking about the alter, the competition, that is the alter egos that we create. We're like, oh, something is attacking us in the astral. Oh, what if that's your shadow attacking you? Like, or think about it as that. Like, sometimes no one is attacking you but yourself. Because if you have the strength, then nothing, if you have the ability to keep your security and your parameters and your grounds and your visions and protect yourself etherically, your e-fields, your Merkaba, what have you, if you have the ability to protect that, nothing can touch you.
Right. I agree with that 100%. And I think we can perpetuate a lot of that by our own fear. But you never did answer my question as far as like, just like what happened in your life? Like, how did you even become aware of this stuff? What moment? What was your moment?
Yeah. My moment to where I became aware was in between the ages of, I would say, 4 and 6 years old. I would wake up under my bed beginning every night at the age, and I knew I had gone somewhere, right? And then I would have these memories of being on the ship or what have you in space. My sister would be there. They would be doing different types of intelligence tests, things like this on the ship. And then that would correlate with many, as I got older, I realized through research and study, oh, this is why, because I was involved in these programs, because, and this is the thing, they will choose you because of your DNA, because of your background. Like if you have the claircognizance, and that's one thing that I was born with. I always knew something was going to happen before it happened. My ears, I could hear things that people couldn't hear. I could see things that other people couldn't see. And this is something that they choose. There are so many levels to the different types of programs, different types of layers, I should say, factions, sections, sectors, right, of what they put you in. And it's all about what you can handle. It's all about what they can handle, because if you're too rebellious, right, they're going to wipe your memory and just say bye type of situation. And they're going to make it a little harder for you to remember.
Well, can you explain like your understanding of the cloning process? Like, so they take your DNA at a young age. What do they do with it from there? Yeah.
So basically they take it at a very young age. And, so they started this at a very long time ago, back in since creation, right? Since creation, it's just the cloning process has been switched up a little bit. We know that, we know that the Nazis did it, and then it evolved, and then certain things. Now we are up to the point of the plasma screens, and they have actually trained us involved to get on the plasmograph screens and create our own clones.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost as though the DNA is no longer needed, in a sense, if that makes sense. It's the consciousness. It's the consciousness that is needed. That's it. Because once they get a certain amount of really good clones in that DNA, then they can pull from the consciousness. And that's why they would have us design your own clone, right? Or multiple, what have you, because of this assignment, whatever you were doing, working for a certain agency, going in as an assassin or as whatever cloak and dagger operation, secret op they would have you do through the clone line. You would be told to remove any and all identification, leave no trace behind. Jace, all these movies are so real, guys. Like, the movies are literally the truth of so much. Also, there are many other levels to, as I refer to, consciousness and the quantum communication. This is one thing that they've utilized. So the reason that I have the cognitive memories of my partner and I being together is because if I am the original, correct, I am going to be able to tap in to that. And they want you to be able to tap into that clone through the consciousness. That's what gives you the clue and the cues and the traces that you have to take. It's like leaving breadcrumbs, so to speak. But they need the consciousness more than anything. It's just that the DNA contains the consciousness. And now that they've been able to tap into consciousness more through through certain forms of frequencies and technology. And by the way, it doesn't mean technology is bad. Everything is a weapon, can be used as a weapon. Every tool can be used as a weapon. It's a matter of which you use it. So I really want to preface this conversation by saying, don't get freaked out by being on your phone. Don't get freaked out by Wi-Fi or any of this other stuff, because anything can be used as a weapon if you so choose, right? But everything is essentially a tool.
Right. And as far as the consciousness, I mean, some of these celebrities and musicians who have come forward speaking about the clone programs, human cloning, they describe it. And first of all, they say the facilities in Canada, Clone Aid, it's based, it's registered in the Bahamas because they can't be technically officially registered as a cloning company here in the Americas. But they say that they wait for you to hit the REM state of sleep. While you're in that REM state of sleep, it's like an abduction of your consciousness.
There you go.
And they take your consciousness during that state and they clone it. Now, that's one way. Some of the people are actually taken into the facility and they know their clone ID and everything. A lot of them have multiple clones that they're aware of walking around. They even admit it. People think they're joking. Like Kevin Hart says, I have 3 clones. And they're all, and people are like, oh, ha, ha, ha. He's like, no, I'm serious. There's 3 of me. You guys and people just laugh it off. These interviews are out there. So it's known. It's very well known. You just have to believe these people instead of writing it off as a joke.
Well, yeah. And, that's one thing I said in the interview with James Rink is I made it very clear. Like, do you think that this is something like, do you know how much courage it takes really, or how much like trust in yourself really, to not care what anyone thinks because you have been through so much, right? To actually get out there and say, hey, this happened to me. Because I've been doing this for over a decade, and I was made fun of for years and years and years by my family, by my friends, and all kinds of things. But that was okay because I didn't care, because I knew that I was speaking my truth. And essentially that's what matters. As long as you are speaking your truth and you're honoring yourself and you're going within, and you are breaking free from those programs, from those contracts, you will come out on top. And eventually your family will no longer question you. Your friends and people will no longer question you. Because number one, it doesn't matter. No one else's opinion matters of you except for yours. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, you are here to help heal yourself from all of the contracts, because it didn't just start in this lifetime. Like, say you were born in 1984. Didn't just start then. It's been going on for eons, guys. Eons. This is not the beginning, right? This is not just the first time. It's just the first time that we're able to break free of it through the power of our consciousness. Because that's one thing that I think they thought they could skip over. They thought they could do a full mind wipe, but they weren't able to. You cannot compromise or violate universal law and go into someone's consciousness and expect them not to have a memory of it. That's virtually impossible. You cannot do it.
Eventually, it might work temporarily, but universal law won't allow this to happen. Like Max Spear said, he goes, this is the last time any of this is going to be allowed to happen because of universal law. And he also talks about that window right now. He's like, we're in a window, like it's the end of a cycle. And the soul trap cycle that they've put in place, he actually explained like the infinity symbol, or the serpent eating its own head, is literally a representation of the soul trap, like that they're showing us. So he said, but right now there's a window, so we have a chance to get out. We don't have to come back. He goes, because they would even trap a consciousness inside of a machine.
They did that. That's what they tried to do with CERN, guys. That was all. That's what they were trying to do with CERN, and it didn't work.
Trying to do what?
Trap our consciousness.
Oh, okay.
They were using our consciousness to create the God particles, all of the dark matter. And that's why people would go into all this fear when it came to CERN, right? The Higgs and Bose, like the God particle, right? Mm-hmm. That was a part of the entrapment, but that was canceled out. That was removed because obviously we were like, nope, don't think so. We were too powerful. We are too powerful for all that to happen. It's not going to happen. And this is one thing that I do infinitely believe in what Max said, that this is the end of the soul trap. Yet we need to go within and really understand, come into our own knowing, to know and be confident in our spiritual journey, and to knowing the fact that we get to decide.
Right.
We get to decide all of this, no matter what I've been through, no matter what I went through with the programs. And guys, we haven't even gone into all that, right? That will be gone into the second part, yet part two, because I think it's very important, because there are people out there who have been through similar things of what I have been through and others have been through, right? End quote, the secret space program. Well, yet at the same time of knowing what happened to me and what I went through, the main thing to focus on is knowing that those contracts no longer exist. Right. They have been null and void. It's your choice. It's ultimately your choice to still remain within them. Cue consciousness.
Well, maybe you could, I don't see why we have to wait to explain like what you remember from the programs. That would help make sense of everything you're saying now. If you shared like some of what you've gone through or what you remember, what you've seen.
I just want to state that before this interview, it was much easier for me to speak about the things that I went through because I was still in that clone line, right? Reliving the past every day, going loop to loop, still in anxiety, still in depression. I was prescribed anti-anxiety because of the flashes I would get from PTSD. Okay. The flashes starting from the womb. All right. So when I was born, I saw before I was born My parents tried to have me. They tried to conceive for 2 years. I did not want, I was very unsure, no, don't want to go there. I don't know if I can do this because of my sensitivities and because of who I was and am. For example, my due date was October 1st, which is my mom's birthday, which my mom had my sister on her birthday, like 1001, which actually, if you look at that number, it represents a virus in binary encoding systems, right? Interesting. So my mom played AC/DC Hell's Bells on her belly while she was pregnant with me. Wow. And I didn't move for a week or I died, right? I was about to check out because I've studied many hypnotists and going into that, as we spoke of earlier, the REM, the consciousness, that theta state, that REM state. And that's the thing, the theta state represents the REM state. That is when you reach your full level of consciousness. The theta, the seventh chakra, that is the manifestation, right? Mm. That's where everything can be manifested. That's why they tell you that it's really healthy to rest. It's like non-sleep deep rest, right? NSDR. So you're constantly in REM. You're constantly in theta. You're constantly in manifestation. The waves.
Right.
Traveling through space and time, the time travel correlation. So I almost took myself out when I had to listen to Hell's Bells. I said, oh my God, no way. Getting out of here, right? I'm about to move on. And, nobody's given a guidebook, yet we agreed to this. Kind of like the movie Interstellar. When he says to her, he said, you have to let go when they're in the ship, right? In that frame, he says, you have to she's like, we don't have enough supplies. And he's trying to release her. They're detaching. And she goes into the Stargate, this like black hole correlation. And he says to her, Newton's third law, you have to leave something behind in order to let go and come into something, right? As that theory goes, if you really watch that movie, it really computes with everything that we're speaking of. Now, that was the first time I tried to escape, right? From the Matrix. I was in the womb. Then things and events would happen. When you're a child, the soul will leave the body. Very much so. It doesn't really, that's why a lot of people only have memories from the age of 6 and up, because the soul, the spirit, is constantly going in and out, testing out if it wants to be here or not. It definitely leaves when it feels like it's in threat or in danger. Now, then we go into my abductions from beginning at 6 years old. My first memory was, of course, waking up underneath the bed on multiple occasions. I had a sister, one of my sisters, very close in age. She had different experiences, more with an archon entity and energy. I was more light. She was more dark. That's what I chose. It was, as above, so below. Nothing is bad or good. There's no negative or positive. It's all what we correlate and we label in our perception of things. So I chose that. I chose my family. I chose my life. I chose the Matrix. We all chose the Matrix. As Dolores Cannon says, we came here to learn how to manipulate or to control the energy within and outside of us.
Yes.
So then we get into really delving deep, I will share my first memory of my sister and I. Before my my three sisters, my other sister was born 7 years later. We were on a ship and there were doctors. They were doctors, right? Scientists, what have you. They were loading a lot of us into, well, we were already in the ship, right? In space, right? The Mars operation. That's what I would label it as, basically. But it's all levels, right? It's like Mars, Earth, like psyops, like training on all levels. We were separated. And I began screaming, I want my sister, because at first they had us in a room together. Yeah, they realized that would not work because they were running testing. There were electrodes hooked up to my head. She starts screaming, crying because she was the rebellious one. And I'm just like, oh, whatever, we'll see. I was just like, okay, do what you gotta do type of situation. I was never a fighter. I was always like a loving person. I've always been of a character and a frequency that emitted love, light, balance. You do what you got to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first memory of us being separated in the ship. So they took her and they separated us, but we were first together. Now, after that, my memory's a bit blanked out, but I was being taken every night. Because I was waking up under my bed, odd things were happening. I was seeing things in the sky. I couldn't share that with anyone. Of course, I was a kid. They didn't believe that back in the 80s, right? But it's just a kid. Then we go into, so like I said, there was that 3 to 4 year, right? Expansion period, graduation, training period. Then I go into the NASA club at age, like I said, all time exists at once. I'm in the NASA club in 3rd grade. In my mind, I'm 10 years old, right? But in 3rd grade, I was only 8 or 9. Well, I started experiencing massive migraines. The doctors could not explain it. My mom kept taking me to the doctor. He said, we thought it was my vision. We thought it was everything. Meanwhile, I was traveling. My school had me traveling in the NASA club to Langley, Virginia, all of these places that a kid should not go, right? But it was a field trip, right, for the NASA club, right? Odd coincidence? I think not.
Right.
Going into that, we go into the 13-year-old, 14-year-old stage, another 3 to 4 year contract, right? Or time's up training. And I don't have a lot of memory as far as training with that goes from that age. Yet I do know that my brain did a switch in a sense, right? I became very, which most teenagers do, which is the prime time to take advantage of their theta because our hormones are balanced. We're full of energy. We are excited. We're happy and nothing can touch us because we're really coming into levels of reproduction, our sacral, figuring out who we are. Yet the matrix says, no, you have to be this. So it's all levels of like we're going up against ourselves. That's when the alter ego is first created. And then an alter ego gets created at multiple after that, and enables the clone lines, like the multiple clones, the alters, right, to do their jobs that the syndicates decided for us and put us in programs. Then it comes into when I, excuse me, was when I was in high school, and in my sophomore year, I told my mom, I said, I don't want to go back to high school. And she said, okay, we'll homeschool. So for 1 year, I taught myself. And at the end of the year, I had to test out, right? So you have to use an accredited homeschool or an accredited program, right?
Yeah.
Now, very coincidentally, this place, it was a school, a very private school, a tutoring center accredited by the state of North Carolina, which is like 3-4 blocks, or it was like less than a mile from James Rink's house, right? And his parents almost put him there as well.
Really?
Yes. Now, this woman who taught, she was 70 years old. I went for because I tested out, right? I passed 10th grade. So for my junior and senior year, I would be going to school at this place in downtown Charlotte, all levels of PSYOP operation, undercover, like just cloak and dagger, right? Hiding me. They were hiding me, using me for what they would use me for in the program. Plural, S, parentheses. Therefore,
who was hiding you? What do you mean?
We will say the Abraxas, the syndicates. They wanted to isolate me from.
So you'd be more easily accessible.
There you go. And I'm about to give more examples of how creepy and odd everything that occurred at this school was. Okay, number one, it was in a house. And it was run by a woman whose last name was Vanderford, who was very good friends with Billy Graham. Vanderbilts.
I've heard things about Billy Graham.
Yeah. She was proposed to by Billy Graham and turned him down. She went to Columbia, she went to Wheaton, and she went to Vanderbilt. She was very good friends with the Vanderbilts as well. My parents paid. I went to school for 4 days a week, 3 hours a day, with the highest accredited homeschool in the country, because they did not give the answer keys or test out, right, to the teachers. Now, very odd things happened in this house. Number one, when you would pull up, the house, the homeschool, the tutoring center would only have about 4 or 5 kids, high school kids in it at a time. That was it. Max enrollment. And it was an elderly lady, like I said, she was like in her 60s, 70s, that taught us, who used to own, apparently, a big school. Now, when she was a child, she showed me the article. She had survived in Texas a giant school explosion, of which Hitler sent his condolences. I read the article. She was the only survivor. Okay. Now, moving along. When you pulled up to the school in downtown Charlotte, it was a house in Dilworth. There were 2, so you walked up to the path. On each path, there was a front door. 2 glass rooms, guys. Those were the classrooms. Glass rooms. It was like it used to be a screened-in porch, but they were glass rooms to where any car driving by could monitor and see what she was doing, what we were doing. 2 glass rooms.
That's super weird. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not only that, she would look at me as if sometimes like I was a species she was studying. On top of that, I would arrive prior to the beginning of class, and she had a basement. So she would make breakfast, offer me breakfast, raisin toast, this, that, whatever. She would always say, I have to go down to the basement. The basement was in the kitchen, the steps. And she was feeble. She was feeble. And she'd be like, I have to go get something down from the basement. And she would say, and it was like a hypnotic thing. She would say, I'll be right back. Wait right here. Like, it was just, and so, because I would ask her if she needed help, she was like, no, I'll be right. It was whatever coding she said. It was, and so she would walk down, close the door, and I would have missing time.
Wow.
Where was she going? And she never brought anything back up. She couldn't carry anything. She'd say, I was going to look for books, and she would come back up and there would be no box of books in her hand. Not only that, I attended this school when 9/11 occurred. Okay. Do you know that this woman, without any knowledge of satellite TV, any news broadcast, a rotary telephone, brings a black and white static television with an antenna into one of the glass window classrooms, sits it there and says, guys, watch this, turns the knobs and is like, look at what's happening. I watched 9/11 crash on a 1950s television.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just was listening, just a side note about 9/11. Max Spears said that in between the Twin Towers is actually a Stargate.
Oh, yes. And that's what I was about to actually get into, because this led into my Stargate training with the programs. This was actually my Stargate training, being at this school, because Charlotte is an undergrad. So you know how Colorado Airport is a underground operation. Yeah. Charlotte is an underground Mars operation, Stargate, right? Andrew Bashago, in past interviews that I've done with him, I think maybe one or two, they're dispersed over the internet. He actually confirms he and I going through Stargate and being on Mars together, and many different times. Now, what I will say, what I will reiterate and let everyone know is that during this time of when I attended this particular school, while in the programs, I have the vivid memories of 9/11, my consciousness traveling, right, into people's rooms, turning off their alarms so that they would not go to work. I was reprimanded for that. I sat in isolation on Mars. Well, I was in isolation for an X amount of time, yet because Mars had the Stargate for the time travel, and Mars is where they do most of the cloning. So if anyone that is watching this has not watched Mr. Nobody, go watch it. It's incredibly important. It correlates with the butterfly effect, time travel, cloning, everything, and the Mars operation. Then we go into what happened with the 9/11, my being reprimanded in the program, and then like basing me on Mars. It was more of like I had to stay there, or my clone, one of my, do you see?
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
So it was very low vibrational frequency. Okay. And not only did they have me there in holding, they assigned me even higher tasks, more of a multitude of things that I had to do that I did not want to do, which involved cloning, which involved the clones that they trained me to create of myself. And also other things like, people talk about being in the programs, they talk about like, it's almost like Fight Club, right? Like you're sparring with people, you're training in fights militantly, you are going under what would be like a Earth military boot camp, but worse, right? If anyone here has been in the military, you will know what they do. but it's space style, so they can do whatever they want. They take no prisoners, right? Because number one, they don't have to, because it's a clone. If the clone goes, what do? You just make another one. Easy peasy.
Right.
So this is when they taught us things such as, especially when you're traveling through stargates, you will maybe eventually have to learn how, if you're capable of traveling through wormholes, and how to get back, and black holes as well, right? Because they're located even within Earth, right?
Right.
You're going to have to learn how to navigate that. If you can't get back, then you're going to have to, make another. And that's another thing is with the clone line center, is the level of death that you have to see, that you have to experience, even within yourself. For example, the suicide programs that a lot of people experience, committing suicide. And I do want to make note of this, that if anyone is struggling through this, just know that it's only a program. It's something you've probably been through that you haven't tapped into yet. The first time I tried, I was 10 years old. I had a very happy childhood. Okay. I had no reason to try to do this, but this is when they start doing this, because when you have to go in and take out your clone, or you're assigned a mission with a certain person, partner, or individual, to where it's leave no trace behind, it's you or them, right? You or your clone, you have to pull the trigger. You have to do something, because they're in control at that point. What we're in control at that point of time.
Yeah, Penny Bradley calls that the Omega programming, the suicide programming.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's interesting that you hear these celebrities, when you listen to them talk about the cloning, they said that, like, if you don't obey, they kill you and then clone you. So
that's
you don't even have to be alive. Yeah, you don't even have to be alive.
So, yeah. And I also want to reiterate that after doing shadow work and coming out of that clone line center, right? Excuse me. In order to, and this can be included in another part if we have to go further. Yet, this is a very deep level. I went through a very intense night of the programs, Control, Delete, and going through my memories, to where I had to line all of my clones up. And it wasn't 100 of them. It wasn't 100,000. It was levels of millions, probably, in a white room, and take a gun and just go through. But that's what they train you to do.
Now, when you say millions, like, you're just talking about because there's infinite realities, and like this, like, so we have so many versions of ourselves we can't even comprehend it.
That's a part of it, yeah. But yeah, I will say, when you're in these programs, there are millions of clones. There are. They can create, and they assign you to create that. And if you're doing, when we're talking about the fact that time is so expansive, it exists, but it exists in different dimensions. So different clocking, different forward motion, different, no levels of measurement, right? So there's no way to tell how many realities can exist in one quote time frame, because time is a man-made construct. It exists, it's out there, yet how much happens within a certain amount of time in which we are here and what we experience.
Right. But that's just like, it's such a massive number to think that you have a million clones. I mean, I know, like, if we use Star Wars as an example, like Episode 2, The Attack of the Clones, like, that's a clone army, all of made from one guy, right? So he has like thousands. I wouldn't say, maybe not millions, but thousands. They show that in the movie. Who knows? Like,
I mean, if they have the ability to do that, why wouldn't they do that?
Exactly.
Exactly.
That way? Like, they can
do. I'm telling you, they do.
Make as many as they want.
I do. I can confirm, and I will, like, over my dead body while I like negate my words. I'm not kidding.
I mean, yeah,
that's how it is. That's so, there's so many things. Like I said, watch Mr. Nobody. There's millions of him, right? There aren't any more, as I said, and I want to continue to reiterate and preface everything I say by, we are out of these contracts now. It's our choice to continue on. It's up to us to delete these programs. And like, as I said, the suicide, like you said, Patty, referring to Patty, the Omega Project. It's Penny.
Penny.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, Penny. I love you. It's very true. It's a thing. I attempted many times in my life, right? And it was during the times of which I was doing and on these missions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would make sense because like you're spread so thin. Your soul is so fragmented, and you don't know where you fit in. And when you have an understanding of the vastness of what's happening, like being down here trying to live your life, work a job, pay your bills, pay taxes, and just constantly get your head stomped on. Yeah, it's drives you crazy.
Tyler, and that's how they keep you. That's how they keep you distracted, and that's how they keep you in your clone line center. They want you to be in the clone line center. They want you to be in this whatever frequency so that they can utilize all the other frequencies of you that exist to create how many, it depends on how valuable you are to whatever mission they're assigning you. So, or how many times you fail the mission, or how many missions you go on and you have to annihilate yourself or your partner in crime or what have you has to take you out, or you have to take them out. And if we're talking about time travel and infinite realities, we're talking about infinite clones, right? Huge correlation there.
Right.
You have to get into the allocations of the Fibonacci of timelines, because the Fibonacci is actually the sacral, which is all of creation, right? So that third chakra, which is the sacral, aka the Fibonacci, which is all spinning, all relative, all creation, all geometric patterns, right? Which correlate into the allocation of all timeline streams of theta line streams and light cycles of which we exist, and we continue on going. But we have 114 chakras, and within those chakras, or 144, within those are other chakras. There's so much to see that we have not even gone into and tipped the scale yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's simply due to
we're doing it now,
right? But it's a 3D reality that keeps us limited as far as being able to really comprehend that, and obviously the suppression of our DNA. But so after the North Carolina, the Mars incident and the school in North Carolina, what happened after that?
After that, so I was always told I would never have children, right? That's another thing. When I was 15, I was told I would never have kids. I met someone who was also in the program, Total Archon, which I didn't know because I was on Mars, right? Within 4 months of meeting him, I was pregnant when I was 20 years old. Anyway, long story short, we had 2 children together. That's when I went through the militant fighting and sparring, like more levels of it. I was already there, but that was when I went under the more hardcore archonic training, right, to be able to withstand that and my journey to come out of it.
You're talking about in the programs, like so at the time of your life when you had 2 children on Mars, you were going through the more intense training.
Exactly, precisely. Okay. And then after that, which also correlated because of time travel, it also correlated with me having my children when I was even up until my 30s, having my other 3 children, right? they more so used me for basically psyops, like secret ops, with the things going on in Afghanistan, Ukraine, Russia, like not really Ukraine necessarily. Yet the things going on deep underground when they would assign our clones to go in and assassinate other agencies or factions intelligence, right? So, they say like they assign people of government like snipers, right? Things like this, like assassins, ninjas, what have you, all levels of Kill Bill, things like this. This is when you would go in, right? So the Russian doll program is very real, but every government or a lot of different countries have different programmings of it. So you would have a male, right, who is like your partner, and he would be like sitting there with the gun while the woman would lure whoever was a threat to your agency or who you were assigned to, right? Your government, what have you. I'm not going to list the alphabets here. Yet the woman in whatever way she could, right? And annihilate the threat, the other clone threat, right? Now, for example, I mean, you can even watch, there are other documentaries on this where there are people, clones, right? People that go in and they find them in their hotel rooms, and all of the tags are cut from their clothing. And it's a suicide, yet they have no identification. The gun they chose has a serial number very methodically scratched off, to where you have to be in serious training to scratch a serial number off. Like that's going to take a lot of time, and you got to do it correctly, right? So it's like the leave no trace behind. So that's what they would do with us, right? Because the clones what would we do? And if we could not escape and get out because of surveillance, cameras, bodyguards, this, that, what do we have to do? We had to take ourselves out.
Right. And that's like, I guess that would be programming.
I will tell you that I know, especially one person precisely, and myself, that I do often, I rip tags out. Do you see what I'm saying? When I leave a place, I will pick up when I have left places, I have picked up like, oh, that's mine. I'm not leaving that here, and it's like a simple thing, like just something I should like throw in the trash. But because of the programming, I'm like, oh, that has my DNA on it. No, thank you.
Yeah, leave no trace. That's you see. So you say you actually rip tags off of like your. Is that why the government says it puts a tag on there? Says please do not remove tag.
Yeah.
On your mattress.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That is exactly it. That's one part. Because they want to train you not to remove tags in general, right?
Right. It's like you're gonna get in prison for tearing off the tag of your mattress.
Like, right? Like really, like someone's the tag police.
Right.
Come on. No, they're the tag police. They want to tag your body.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, you have I guess more like Black Ops, almost
Black
like
Ops, yeah, exactly.
Black Ops missions, yeah.
Yeah.
And I say you don't want to name the agencies, but we know the agencies involved. I mean, most of the 3-letter agencies, if not all of them, I don't know, because all the tactics they use, even like recruitment processes, they show you in the movie. If you watch a movie about the CIA and then you compare it to an SSP testimony, it's the same thing.
Well, it's like with me and my partner. He worked and he still has top secret clearance for one of the 3-letter agencies, right? Yet he and we are all levels of it's, and a lot of you guys are with your partners or sacred flames, what have you, whatever, soulmates. All levels of the movie Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon,
That's
a great movie.
That movie is
right there. Watch that. They try to control the narrative. They do everything they can. That's what they tried to do with he and I.
Yeah, I've experienced that exactly as well.
He still has, I'm not going to mention his name, and he will come on if we would like to do a part 2. Yet he still holds his top secret clearance with that agency.
Right.
One of the top 3. So
yeah,
leave that there.
The Adjustment Bureau is when I watch that, I'm like, this is exactly what happens. Like, this is exactly the private organization that might be ETs. They have special abilities. They're able to stop time, manipulate people, mind control, erase memories, steer people's lives away from each other. Like, if they don't want 2 people to meet, they place things on your path that distract you and pull you away from encountering that person. Whatever, that actually happens, especially if you're targeted, which we're all targeted from birth. They know everybody who comes and goes from this planet. We're all monitored.
Exactly. And that's the thing. People are like, oh, I don't want to turn on my location, which I don't turn my location on my phone. Yeah. I'm like, if they want to see you, they can. Like, that's where it all comes into protecting your lights, AKA all your chakra systems. If you're protected and you know yourself, you know your grounds, you've gone within, you don't have anything to worry about. And the only person you can heal is yourself. You cannot try to save anyone else from this situation. We can speak, we can be the example, we can share our truth, but ultimately it's up to us to heal ourselves. And then maybe we can inspire others to be able to come into that protecting of their own lights.
Yeah, yes. I agree with that. Because you'll exhaust yourself trying to heal someone else. And besides, you might be interfering with their karma and their lessons. Like, that's their path.
That's so true. And that, Tyler, you could not have said that any better. That's something I've always said, is that you don't want to interfere with someone else's karma. Everyone has their own journey. Let them live their own journey. Once you get in and start trying to manipulate, interfere, or just like, oh, I want them to awaken so bad, I want them to be on my level, you're actually being controlling. Yeah. So it's not even that you're trying to control their system. What part of your system, we need to ask ourselves, what part of ourselves has not yet surrendered to the divine, right? What part of what part are we still trying to control within ourselves? What are we not letting go? What are we not releasing? Because what happens within is going to happen around us. It's our holograph, like it's our solar, it's our 4th chakra, it's our sun. It's what we feel is what we create.
Exactly. You couldn't have said it any better. And everything within, like, that's the real thing here, is like the external world that we see is an exact reflection of what's going on inside. And everything in the world stage, like, it's how you see yourself. It's a reflection of how you see yourself. So some people are walking around just living in bliss, and they don't even see, like, even me, I'm not saying I'm in bliss, but like, I don't know about half of this shit going on, and I'll hear people talking about it and they're like worrying about it, panicking about it. I'm like, I'm like so far removed from that. It's not even slightly affecting my reality.
Some people have a ton of fear in their system, and you can just
oh gosh,
everything
Aaron.
They talk about, they're always on edge, they're always worried, they're always paranoid, and they don't realize, like, and there's always things going wrong in their life, and they're always being attacked, and they're always being oh my God, this happened to me, oh my God, that happened. And
that's because they chose that. That's because they choose it on a daily basis because of what the programming. And it doesn't only come from the programs that they're in, it comes from the generational program, the DNA line stream program, right? The genetic coding. So we can heal our past by healing our future, right? So if we can look at our past and look at it with love and healing, we can actually change our past to affect our future.
Well, it's healing
in a positive way.
Well, that's why, I mean, that's why the past life regressions and stuff like that come into play, because you gotta, like, learn those aspects of yourself, learn about yourself and the quote past, even though it's all simultaneous. But by healing the past, you're healing the now.
Because time doesn't actually exist.
And
well, it exists.
It exists on one level.
It just doesn't exist the way
Right.
the way we conformed it to exist.
But they're all the now is truly ultimately all that
the
is.
Now, exactly. There you go. That's all you have. The now is the past, present, and future. It's everything all at once that we are experiencing right now. So as you three, as the three of us are sitting here together, we are actually creating a memory of the future and of the present and from the past, because we're coming back together from the past when we knew each other and we were a part of what timeline we were a part of, right? The three of us. But we're also creating the memory of the present. We're also creating a memory of the future.
And
so the remembrance is within us, right? You don't always have to go through past life regressions. It does exist within you.
I know, but that's a tool for people.
It is a tool.
Don't know how
it definitely
to
is, Tyler.
And like the whole construct of time, it's like that 666 time construct. It's 60 seconds per minute, 60 minutes per hour, 24 hours a day, which 2 + 4 is 6. So it's like that. It's all symbolism and symbology. But you talked earlier about this Stargate program or something that you were involved in, and you didn't really elaborate on that too much, or did you? And maybe I didn't know you were finished.
Simply the Stargates were used to travel through time, and not only time, but you could choose. You would go into certain portals, right? Which is a Stargate is essentially a portal, but it's more of a powerful, more intelligent portal. So you're able to go into multiple dimensions multiple times, right?
Yeah.
It's just a faster way of traveling, because you have the option of wormholes. You have the option of black holes. You have the option of, but you have to, here's the thing. If you go in through a wormhole, a jump scare, a portal, what have you, because a wormhole is a portal, a black hole is a portal, you have to know how to use jump scares. You have to know how to use your portal line defense systems, things like that. A jump scare is basically, I would describe it as like kind of like a box, right? It's like a portal, but more of a protected box, like with invisible line streams, right? And you jump through it. So it's just like a scar in time, right? So it collapses on itself, but it's not like a portal that swirls with the Fibonacci. It's more of like a
tear, rip in time. Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That you can scar back into you. So you don't really, so portals you can go back into. Jump scars are mainly used like, oh, jump through this one, jump through that one, jump through. So you can make a half pipe or a circle back around to get back to the Stargate and through, right?
Have you had any experience with actual agencies trying to recruit you here into 3D? Like obviously there's like the whole clone aspect of this, but like the physical aspect, like you right now, and you smiled, so that means yes. You want to tell us or not?
I mean, I've had several recruitments for military. Many people.
Like attempted recruitments, or
yes, attempted. Attempted, yes.
And what would one of those look like, just to give somebody an example?
Mainly like, Marines.
I mean, like a random person approaching you, like
random government, random government people approaching me. All levels of military, Army, Marines, Navy. Even we'll go into politics. My grandfather was a politician. My relative, William Hooper, he was the 13th signer of the Declaration of Independence. My grandfather was the head chairman of Democrats over the entire state of North Carolina. So many things, yeah.
So there's an interest in that bloodline. For sure.
Extremely. So we have all levels of military and politicians. Also, Abraham Lincoln is a relative as well. So.
Right. Well, that sounds like
And my grandfather looks exactly like Abraham Lincoln, or
really.
did before he crossed over. So yeah.
I mean, if he crossed over, right?
Right. No, he did. He did.
Or
He's fine.
is he
I don't know.
alive?
He was very elven, so he's in probably another dimension.
Right. And that's just the thing, like all these talk about clones, like the people that we think are dead, celebrities, whoever, there's probably a good possibility that they're living out their life either off planet, inside the planet, underground civil cities. I mean, I don't know, or just a fake identity somewhere else.
Right. Exactly. Well, and then yeah, that can definitely be taken into account, Tyler. Also, that comes back to the infinite reality, the quantum teleportation, the quantum communication, the quantum computing, the quantum entanglement.
Right.
That's what it all comes back to. The quantum consciousness. It's what we perceive.
Exactly. But sometimes we can't, we have to explain it in terms that we do perceive. So
right, exactly.
If somebody was to,
it's all about what resonates with each individual, right? So for example, my grandfather, sometimes I see him, sometimes I don't, and I'm a medium, or I worked as a medium for a very long time. And sometimes he'll just come in, right? But it's very rare. He's out doing other things through my perception. My father, he recently crossed over, even though he passed away in 2013, right? He was rogue type situation. So
how many different, I mean, this is just kind of throwing it off a little bit, but how many different programs, we talk about programs. So we have all the branches of militaries, all the private corporations. Does each one of these, do you think, have their own separate program, or is there eventually like a one blanket program that everyone
it's one blanket?
Okay. But there's all different methods of recruitment and factions, but it's all
right. So I would describe it as, I would say you would go with 3, 6, and 12 umbrellas, right? And under each of those umbrellas, kind of like dementia is the umbrella term for Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, different breakdowns. So I would say that there would be 3, 6, and 12, so a total of maybe 12 umbrella. And there is a corporation called the Umbrella Corporation, but they are umbrella terms, right? That go into branches, levels, factions, sectors of these because the levels of these programs are so expansive. And I'm actually working on a very detailed list as of right now of not like I can associate a word or a term with these 3, 6, and 12. And then I have the branches. I'm starting to draw the branches down, right? Yet it's not finished yet. So hopefully we can get to that in part 2.
I mean, you might as well just write down every company that exists.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm working on. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm working on. So I would like to get into that in part 2, so that it will help others who are watching, right, and listening, see and be able to map where they have been, so that they can come into their own knowing and their own ability to see and feel what they went through, in order for them to initialize the breaking free of the programs. Correct. Right.
Yeah. I mean, like today, I've been driving, well, not just today, but I realized it today. I've been driving past this building, Vega Transport. They're a trucking company, but yep. Vega is a star in the Lyra constellation, the northern constellation of Lyra, and then Vega Transport, right? So interesting. And then literally right next to it is this blood bank. It's a blood draw center. And I just know how this stuff works, right? And
well, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Vega is actually fighting for us right now. So
awesome.
Vega is our power. Vega is our power source as far as our justice system, our universal law system. So it's nice that you saw them together, because Vega is the harp constellation, right? It's a harp, harmony, brings everything back into balance. It's like our justice system in space. As they said in Interstellar, Matthew McConaughey, but we agreed to Vega, right? Then you get into the movie with Contact with Jodie Foster. She goes to Vega. She gets the signals from Vega. It's not just with that, but Vega is really, really there for us, holding up the universal law.
So you mean like Vega as far as
yes,
a group of people, the star system,
star system, yes, okay. Constellation, yes.
So Vega Transport, the company, like, so not all of these companies might be used for nefarious purposes. Like,
there you go. Exactly.
It's interesting that's been catching my eye, and you're just confirming this for me. Now I'm going to do some more research, and it's even more interesting. It's in the same building as a bank called Central Bank, and it has a really weird symbol for Central Bank, and then Vega Transport, then Blood Bank. It's like,
so Vega, as I said, justice, giving us back the scales, right? Balancing the scales and justice. That's what Vega is doing. So that would also correlate with the banking system.
Yeah, which we're overdue for some sort of shift or change there.
It's coming. Yeah. Oh, it's coming. Like I said, the contracts are, guys, we have broken free. Like even though it seems like we're still struggling, even though it feels like that's the only construct in our mind, we have to see it as already done. It's like set it, like when you do your manifestations, what have you, I call them, and a lot of other people, it's like you set these calculations, right? You set it and you forget it.
It's
you
like
consider it done. You consider it done because you're already living it now, because because the future exists within you right now.
Right. Yes. Do you remember that infomercial? Set it and forget it. It was like a rotisserie cooker or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, consider it done. Consider it done. That's what will get you into your abundance. That's what will get you into your healing, your sovereignty. There's so many things, so many levels of opportunity that we have within our system because of what they did to us. So let's not use this manipulation and this control as a guise of victimization. Let's use it as a power source. Let's use it as a strengthening mechanism. Let's use it as the gym they gave us for training in order to overcome.
Yeah. And
exactly.
You just nailed it 100%. Well, I guess we can start wrapping this part up then.
Yeah.
If you'd like to. We've been, there's a lot for people to digest. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Do you have any information you want to share with our audience as for how to follow you or not?
I am on TikTok. My name does change from time to time because as I advance in my spiritual journey, I change my name like once every 30 days. I do have you can Tyler, if you'd like, you can put my email below, and when we can do part 2, or we will be doing part 2 in the future. Yet, for my email, it's called spacetimedisclosure.
Okay.
spacetimedisclosure@gmail.com. And if you actually look at it, and if you separate the words, it says space time times is space timed is closure.
Oh, I see
at gmail.com. Space timed is closure at gmail.com.
I like that.
It's also space time disclosure at gmail.com.
It just depends on how you separate
how you want to look at it, right?
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah, we'll put that in the link below. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure, and I'm excited to speak with you guys again. This has been amazing. Aaron, you've been awesome, and I love your shirt, Tyler. I would love one of those. I can get you one of these if you'd like. Just you guys, if you want one of these, just let me know your size.
Right. Yeah. Well,
thank you.
By the way, all of our shirts are 20% off on Teespring with promo code J2T20. But that's and we're actually trying to look for another platform besides Teespring because they jack their prices up and like
we make like nothing,
like $1 a shirt. Yeah.
Well, I actually have a company and I do
Oh, nice.
But either way,
we're trying to figure out something else.
Yeah, but while we're still
we'll get together.
While we're still on Teespring, if you guys are interested, all of our shirts are 20% off there. Promo code J2T20. The link is below. And if you want to come hang out at our conference, those tickets are available below, journeytotruthcon.com. We hope to see you there. And if you can't make it, I know so many people want to come from Canada and other parts of the world, but they can't because of travel. Grab a live stream ticket. The live stream experience is going to be worth it, I promise. So take advantage of that if you can't travel, unfortunately. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you all. And until next time, have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Good night,
guys.
There was a CIA director named William Colby who in the 1980s said, "We'll know our disinformation campaigns are successful when everything the American people believe is fake."
When we realize how powerful we are when we set our intentions and we realize that we aren't just this, we are just these multi-dimensional light beings and time is an illusion and it's everything's a perception. Then you can go forward and backwards and embody it and just pop out and go and do this work. We can do amazing things when we set the right intentions to do it.
And I said, this is us on this plane. That's what this is. We're going to the moon. And he said, this thing is a lot older than you think it is. And we've been going to the moon a long time. But I wrote on it, I knew that we went to the moon. And so I always knew there was a base on the moon from a young age.
And our DNA is a complex recording system of the history of the entire universe, the history, of everything, that not just this timeline that we know, but multiple timelines of reality.
There are a total of 9 different categories of planets in the universe. We people on Earth, we are living on a category 1 planet, like elementary school students. And the Theobans, they are living on a category 9 planet, like college professors. So they have been really guiding us throughout history.
Joachim let us know that this facility under the Sandia Mountain is considered an information station for interstellar travelers coming to the planet. They tell us that their facility was retrofitted into the ancient tunnel system that already existed.
And as far as the bending the space-time continuum, I've had something like that happen. And what seemed like about a 5-minute encounter has been 4.5 hours of missing time. And I was completely conscious. And when you're dealing with a type 3, type 4, type 5 civilizations that can work with the different coexisting timelines, all bets are off, man.
Every time we have Bigfoot activity out there, we're having ETs and orbs and stuff like that. We have a lot of this stuff documented. As a matter of fact, I'm a member of 3 different teams, and I work with people from all over the country out in the field. And we actually have documented a portal, something that we consider to be a portal opening. And we sent 2 of our team members inside of it. And
Really?
They disappeared and then came back out.
I would suggest that we take it one step further and say humanity has never known who we are. We've always been in the thought control matrix. And one step further, perhaps we could say that we're in a consciously controlled state of hypnosis. In other words, are the thought control matrix creators constantly bombarding us with frequencies that keep us from being telepathic, that keep us from remembering who we are? And the thought control matrix was set up, and we have never known our potential, our power, our beauty, our incredible connection.
It makes no sense at all. There is no reason for it other than the programming that we've received for generations, because it's all about order. It's all about listen to your elders, listen to the teachers, listen to the adults, listen. And what that does is it dims the light of the child, and it makes them feel like they don't have a voice. And why that's designed that way by the dark side, and that's in the system, is so that they grow up and they just listen to, and they do what they're told, and they're good little boys and good little girls, and they lose their sense of self. They lose their north, their true north. Yeah. So many adults are walking around in this world, they don't know who they are.
So the planet itself is now beginning to split. It's beginning to divide again into a higher vibrational Earth and a lower vibrational Earth. And the race of man is dividing with it. And we're becoming less and less aware of one another. And over time, what will happen, and I don't know how long this will be, one world will have all higher vibrational beings on it, and the other one will all be third dimensional beings, and we will not perceive each other anymore.